I can't believe it's 2025 now, but what better way to kick off a new year than to talk about all the books that will be coming out and released in 2025. Genuinely, you don't understand how excited I am for the lineup that I have. There's well over 25 plus books. Actually, I have a list that's like 100 plus books long, but I'll just make a part 2 of anything. Let me know in the comments down below if that's something you guys want. So grab a snack, a drink, open up your Goodreads, and get ready to add some books to your list. I'm gonna start with the most popular books first, but then we're gonna get into the less obvious, underhyped books later on. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about the books that are coming up next in my favorite series at the moment, starting with the Empyrean series, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. It's already pre-ordered. It better arrive on my doorstep January 21st. And I have so many questions that I need answers to. Even though I hated how Iron Flame ended off and I hated majority of that book, I'm still going to continue reading. Next we have Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is the final book in her series. I don't know what it's called, but it's coming out April 1st. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to be a little bit more patient on this one. I know who I'm betting on, but I can't wait to see who she ends up with and how the series all wraps up. Like, if the series doesn't already have you in a chokehold, this quote will do the trick. Hey, let me force every person in this kingdom on their knees for you. Hello? Anyways, we have A Curse Carved in Bone by Daniela L. Jensen. This is coming out May 13th. I don't think there's gonna be much for me to say on this because it's book 2 in her series, but just know with how book 1 ended and the cliffhanger we were left on, I need this book like I need air. There's Vikings, it's Norse mythology, magical powers, there's war and politics, there's just so much intrigue. All the characters are so badass. I'm just so excited to see where she's taking the series. Then we have Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli coming out February 13th. As the title implies, there's gonna be some rebellion, so you can expect me to be strapped and seated. I love a good uprising. Thank goodness this one's a duology because the first book also had a gut-wrenching cliffhanger, and I don't know if I could handle another one in book 2. Watch Me by Tahira Mafi coming out April 15th. I've met Tahira Mafi. She is so wonderful, and she's always hinted at the potential of continuing the series, but never did I think the day would come. I'm putting it out there right now. I am so simple. For this book to be a 5 stars, all I need is a cameo of Aaron Warner, and we're good. I'm also determined to go into this book blind because I want to feel like I'm reading the series again for the first time. But then on the other hand, I'm debating if I should reread the entire Shadow Me series in preparation for this book. Next we have The Fallen and Kiss of Dust by Carissa Broadbent coming out August 5th. I read Serpents and Wings of the Night. Did I continue? Not yet. But I know by 2025 before this comes out I will be, so I'm keeping this on my radar. Now we have all of the new fantasy books coming out that I'm so hyped for, starting with The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick coming out May 20th. I absolutely love The Shepherd's King's duet by her, and that was her debut novel. So I can't wait to see what else she has up her sleeve. Even if I didn't read the duet, the premise of this book itself sounds so delicious. It's got the same dark gothic romantasy vibes, and it's got a miscloaked tale of a prophetess who has to defeat gods, and she gets visions in her dreams. There is another book by Rachel Gillick that's been listed on Goodreads, but there is an unknown release date, but it's called As Bad Luck Would Have It. This one is a fantasy rom-com. I don't know if I've ever read anything like that, but it's got magic, opposites attract. Think like warm and cozy in a Howl's Moving Castle meets spicy Bridgerton vibe. These next 2 books are my favorite romance authors branching out into fantasy, and I'm living for it. Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry coming out May 6th. It's a romantasy, and it's supposed to be The Witcher meets Cinderella. Like, that sounds so good. We were literally following a princess and an infamous monster slayer. I already know that Devney Perry cannot do any wrong, but if this hits and it's a romantasy, then that is concrete proof, and nobody else could convince me otherwise. Devney also has Merit scheduled to release March 11th, and that is her 4th book in the Treasure State Wildcat series. Next we have Roses in Chains by Julie Soto coming out July 3rd. I know Julie Soto from her Forget Me Not books, but this one is another romantasy, and there's war, there's magic, and we follow our main girl who suddenly becomes heir to her kingdom, but her kingdom is overrun with enemies, and she is stripped of her mind magic. I love anything when the main character could easily be overpowered, but she gets sold off to somebody who has heart magic. Does that not sound so good? Not only is Julie Soto coming out with a romantasy, but she also has a YA mystery thriller called The Thrashers coming out May 6th. She's literally collecting genres like they're Infinity Stones. The premise of this book is giving Mean Girls, but instead make it where the burn book is the victim's journal and she just wanted to be in the group. But the journal is also serving revenge because it's coming for the Thrashers' lives and is spreading rumors about them that may or may not be true. At this point, just take my credit card, take my bank account number, because I'm going broke with all of these new releases. Now let's get into my favorite auto-buy authors who are coming out with new books this year and all of the romance books that I'm super excited 2024. Starting with the obvious, Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life, coming out April 22nd. The odds of this are low, but if you don't already know what the book is about, it revolves around two writers who are in a competition to gain the right to write a tragic heiress and former tabloid princess's biography. The writer aspect is giving me beach read, and the mysterious woman's biography is giving me Evelyn Hugo, so I'm sad. Next, we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, coming out February 4th, which simply is not soon enough. It's a sports romance, swimming x diving, which is mwah. Another one of my all-time favorite authors, Abby Jimenez, is coming out with Say You'll Remember Me on April 1st. When I tell you, Just for the Summer has me in an absolute chokehold. Like, I think that might have been my favorite book of 2024 because it put me in the worst reading slump of my life. I read it in the summer, and there has not been a single book in the past couple of months that have been able to follow up. So my last hope is that Abby Jimenez follows up her own book with an even better book that will hopefully get me out of this reading slump and not put me in another one. I know I've been saying this for every single book so far, but there's another level of excitement when it comes to Phantom by H.D. Carlton, another stalker romance by the one who does it best. Don't judge me, because sometimes nothing does it like a good, well-written dark romance, and there's always something about the men that H.D. Carlton writes. Like, I don't know what she puts, but her formula never fails. I don't really know how to feel about this because she is a married woman, but it's also set in the 1900s, and her husband seems to be a piece of garbage, and the MMC is a criminal mobster. Up next is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Stone, and this one is another one where it's giving similar vibes to her first book, Ready or Not, which I absolutely loved. It has our main girl who's been thrown through the ringer, and she's a little bit lost because her best friend passed away, and I don't even want to begin to imagine what that feels like. But a guy comes in and is able to give her a guiding hand because she goes through this live again list. It sounds just as sweet and wholesome as Ready or Not, so I'm really excited for it. I don't know what's going on with the lighting, but next we have Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, and it's coming out June 17th. I am so ready for more magical realism contemporary romances from Miss Poston. This one is a songwriter and a gruffy musician, so I'm really hoping for a grumpy sunshine version of like Austin and Ally. I actually never realized how many autobiographies I had until I put together a physical list. But next we have Annabelle Monaghan and her new book, It's a Love Story, coming out May 27th. I actually recently discovered her in 2024, but I read one book by her and was automatically hooked. So now, of course, I'm binging her backlist. It's about a girl who is set on making her movie a reality, but she lies to get there, and so she has to partner up with the guy who killed her first movie idea in order to turn her lie around. Next we have Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford, and I think this is the 5th book in the Windy City series. I'm actually not caught up yet, pun intended, but I'm giving myself until May 27th when this book comes out to read the other books. I didn't love the male main character in the first book, Mile High, but I've only heard promising things about the next 2 books in the series. Another series I'm behind on is the Vancouver Storm series by Stephanie Archer. I read Behind the Net and I have yet to read The Fake Out, so I have until June 17th to prepare for the release of Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer, which is the 4th book in her Vancouver Storm series. This one is Enemies to Lovers, Marriage of Convenience, Grumpy Sunshine. Also, the description for this book was the motivation I needed to continue the series because it says, he cooks for me, sends me flowers, spends way too much money on her, makes her sleep in his bed, and calls her his wife. Wings of Starlight by Alison Schaft, coming out February 4th. First off, stunning cover. Absolutely gorgeous. Secondly, it's the backstory between Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory. I needed this book yesterday, if not a decade ago, because younger me is so geeked for this release. I'm also praying that it gets a movie adaptation because I would watch that in a heartbeat. You're gonna want to mark your calendar April 1st because we have our 3rd book releasing that day. It's called Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake, and of course she named the book after herself because she's the most gifted and talented. The synopsis is giving scandalous with magical abilities, and boy, when I tell you, I'm ready to eat up the drama, the scheming, the rivalries, the family dysfunction that Olivia Blake knows how to write all too well. Huge thank you to all the authors out there and your mind-boggling levels of creativity for constantly contributing to my never-ending TBR and wallet pains. I'm definitely not complaining when it comes to this lineup, and I hope you guys discovered some new and exciting books. Subscribe, like the video if you liked it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!